Hey there. Before we get started, I just wanted to come on and ask you all a favor. In our research, we've discovered that the vast majority of you do not actually like and subscribe to our podcast. And so, if I could ask you to do so, I won't ask you for anything else. And I promise to make this podcast the best I can every day. Me and the team really strive to do that for you. And so, if you could do this for us, we would be eternally grateful. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Mickelle Weber, founder and auteur of House of Peregrine. Expat, immigrant, pioneer, none of these were a fit, but Peregrine describes what we are all about perfectly. Those that craft their life story with intention. I've spent the last 6 years in awe of the life-changing connections and stories I have experienced while living abroad, and believe it is time for this adventure to be recognized, celebrated, and elevated to the life stage that it is. Through these interviews, I hope to connect those living internationally more deeply to both the place they are living and with themselves and those around them. We cover everything from international finances and meaning-making to global parenting and relationships to make your time abroad more intentional, edifying, and full of beauty. Find us at houseofperegrine.com, where you can find more ways to connect with the ethos of Peregrine. I hope you enjoy today's guest. Let's get started. Marta Mikolajczyk is a professional travel designer for families, a lifelong traveler herself, and a parent. She was born in Poland and moved to France when she was 1. Although she lived a conventional life growing up, travel became a centerpiece of her life early on, and it continued when she met her partner. When the couple had children, they realized they didn't want to give up their life of adventurous travel. After a transformative journey for Marta to find where her passion and gifts were after motherhood, she found her mission was to create travel experiences specifically for families. She knows that family life is busy, the routine is heavy, and time is precious. Experiencing connection with the place you are and the people you are with while traveling is incredibly important to Marta and to the families that she creates experiences with. Although she knows the importance of just having a week by the pool sometimes when it comes to travel, she loves to help people instead find a great balance of adventure and relaxation, meaning in the unexpected when they plan a trip with her. Also, we delved into how with her own family, Marta has intentionally been cultivating lives in 2 radically different places, Costa Rica and Amsterdam. They are doing this so that she and her family can fully express their values and live life in different contexts with the intention of experiencing the best of nature and city life. I am beyond excited to speak with Marta today, and thank you so much for listening. We hope you are enjoying the podcast, and feel free to leave a review or reach out to us on Instagram. To find out more about what we are up to, find us at houseofperegrine.com. Okay, here's my interview with Marta. Welcome, Marta. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm very excited to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
So today I want to start out by asking you about your life before. So growing up, where did you come from? What is your story?
So it's a bit of a traveling one already. I was born in Poland, but I was actually educated in France. So when I was about 1 year old, I moved to France with my family. And I grew up in France, in the north of France. I had quite a conventional education, going to the local school, going to a very good school around Lille, actually. Did my studies in the north of France as well, but then started my career, moved to Paris, which was very exciting at the time for me. And I had my first corporate job starting in Paris. I enjoyed traveling around a little bit and sort of starting moving around Europe when working at that job. And this is probably when the travel bug clearly started as well.
And would you say it was a travel bug, or was it because I think when you travel around, you start seeing that the world is large, or that there's more to experience. Is that when you were that age, what would you say? You would say it was the travel bug.
It's a mix because every time you have a travel experience, every time you encounter something new, a new door opens, a new window opens, and suddenly your world really expands. So yeah, I would say it's a mix of once you start, you want to do more, and then your world gets bigger and bigger, so you want to keep adventuring.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when you were doing that, did you think to yourself, in the future, I want, or were you just living moment to moment and just going where life took you?
There was very much a life in the moment at that time. Travel has always been part of it, but I've never thought I would actually make a career out of it. I never thought it would become such a central part and such a strong pillar in my life nowadays. So I guess somehow I knew it somewhere far away, but it wasn't clear yet at that time.
Yeah, as it is when you're young. I just always
Yeah.
I always wonder about that because I think that when you live outside of the country you were born and you started doing it very young, it changes you in fundamental ways. And so I'm always curious to hear the perspectives, and actually we're all just resonating our own experience back, because I think that's House of Peregrine is about people who live where suits them, and the world is large and they're making up their life story as they go. And so that's, I always love to ask because it makes me feel connected.
Yes.
And so when you were traveling around, you did that. How did you come to, now you live in Amsterdam?
Yes. So a few more steps since
Oh, good.
then. Uh, there's always a few extra twists in the story. So I left at the time, I left my corporate job and moved to Amsterdam. That was in 2008. So I met my now husband, and we lived in Amsterdam for a while and traveled a lot during that time. We went on like tours of Latin America for 3 months. We really did proper experiential travel.
And was that for work, or was that just pleasure?
Purely for pleasure. At the time, there was no thoughts behind it. There was nothing else. It was just really pure pleasure and wanting to actually adventure. So we had some beautiful, now I think about it, really crazy adventures and things that maybe I would not do again, but that are also a foundation of us. But after about 5 years in Amsterdam, we got bored. Weirdly. But we got bored, we wanted more, so we moved to London and set up a life there for a few years. And absolutely loved it. Loved life in London, being able to go to the theatre and do so much culturally that we were missing in Amsterdam at the time. And as it happens often, children arrived and everything got a bit shaken, and suddenly London was not here for us anymore. And we had to find a place that would work for us as a family, and the place that would be really good.
You
Yes.
just said London wasn't here for us anymore.
Yeah. It
I
was
love that.
just not answering. Yeah. It
Yeah.
was just not answering what we needed. It was just because we had changed, obviously. And so Amsterdam was home again. So we came back about 6 years ago now.
And so was that a discussion that you guys had, or did you always kind of know that you had two homes?
No, that was a very open conversation, a difficult one because it very much felt like going back. So would we be going backwards? Are we going back in time? It felt a bit strange to come back. To us, it would be we always need to move forward and look at the next destination. But for many reasons, like we already had friends here, we understood how the city works, and we felt so comfortable here that after a while, after a few conversations, it became really obvious that we had to be back.
And for travelers, or for people who have done what you guys have done, that does feel like maybe concession of some sort, but
Yeah.
it's ended up being the right choice, it sounds like.
Yes, because we really wanted to stay in Europe, and actually, there are not many cities that are super family friendly in Europe, and we want our children to be part of our life, our day-to-day life. They need to be tolerated everywhere we go and whatever we do. And Paris was not an option anymore for me, and yeah, so we sort of looked by logic and elimination, and yes, Amsterdam it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that it makes sense. And but the fact that it's a discussion is something that not everyone experiences in the world, right? So there are people that just stay in the same place, or they don't ask a question about place. And it sounds like you and your partner have done that, and maybe even you from the beginning of your life. And so that,
Yeah,
yeah, it
yeah,
changes the
it's
way.
been sorry, it's it's I would say almost it's an ongoing thought and an ongoing question. And you probably understand it being also not from here, but really comfortable here. But is it the right place? Is it the it's a beautiful thing to have the chance of asking ourselves the question, but sometimes I also miss the idea of it being so obvious they don't need to question.
Yep.
Like many friends we have from our past or from university or who have never moved, never changed their place. There's also a beauty in knowing that your home is your home forever.
Yep. Well, it saves a lot of cognitive overload. Like it's, but I think that I think it's just what I found in talking to so many people is that there's a different. I don't know if it's a mindset. I don't know what it is, but to always be questioning a place makes it. It's almost like a relationship in a way, where you're not
Yeah.
questioning it, but you're definitely checking in with yourself over and over again to make sure it's the right fit, which is not the same as not being loyal.
Mm.
But it does take a lot of extra cognition and a lot of extra insight into your own reactions to a place.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that taking that on, whether you can help it or not, is a different way of moving throughout the world.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's cool. But I think everyone's a flight risk. I always say in the international community, everyone's a flight risk, so you have to enjoy your time because there's
Enjoy
always
where you are now. Yes. Yeah.
yep. That's why House of Peregrine is it's now. You have to enjoy. Um, but yeah, and I found, and I think maybe you're the right person to ask this question. I found that sometimes I can have an incredibly deep and meaningful experience with a friend or even someone in a day or an hour or a week that changes my life. And so that, or a year or certain years. And that I think is part of what I love about being around people that have this mindset. It's also really hard, but I don't know. Have you experienced that where you can get deeper or
For sure.
you actually are cognizant of this?
I think that there's something that links us when you have this, I can't call it unstable lifestyle, but when you have this questioning and this constant almost quest for what is that place, where is home, how do you qualify home, also how do you qualify home where you are far away from the place you're born, far away from your family, far away from anything that would qualify a home. um, so I find that the relationship that you build with those people who are in the same situation is really strong. There's a really strong understanding. You don't need to explain why you feel like this. You don't need to explain why you question. It's a beautiful link.
Yeah. It's not family, but it's something. It's a culture of some sort that you understand. Yeah. Um, cool. Thanks for indulging me. I always love to go into those sorts of things.
Mhm.
So when you came back to Amsterdam, you became a mother before or after? Is that
So I
when did you
became a
become
mother.
a mother?
I had my first child in London, and when we arrived here back in Amsterdam, I was pregnant with my second.
Oh, nice. And that maybe changed the work you were doing, or did it?
Totally. Yeah, again, they shake everything, those children, but yeah, totally changed. When I was in London, I was doing a consultancy for hospitality. Beautiful work, I absolutely loved. Um, Working with restaurants and with hotels, creating new concepts. It was really buzzy lifestyle and a lot of fun. Um, but that was not aligning anymore with the values that I wanted to hold in my day-to-day life and the time I wanted to spend with my children and the independence I wanted to create as well. So, like many, I went through a bit of career questioning, career coaching, and just this again, another big question and a big milestone. What should I do now? What am I good at? Um, what can I bring to this world? And how do I want to work? So I actually got to build my own work, actually.
Yeah. And that is a really scary transition for some. But did you see it as, when you were going through it, were you scared or were you in fact just like, this is another building life moment?
Did you know that House of Peregrine has an app? It is full of resources, information, and products to make life as an international more connected and more intentional. As a member of House of Peregrine, you also now have access to exclusive discounts, products, guides, and events to make life more fun and connected. Simply download the app at houseofperegrine.com and save it to your home screen. Okay, back to the show.
Yeah, it was more like I was 100% convinced that having this reflection was the right one. Going through that whole process was good. The logistics of it obviously is scary because you're leaving a job that is safe and everything is sort of very organized and very safe. So it was a lot of it, like any big decision actually in life. It is scary, but if it's not scary, it means that it's not big enough. So a lot of questions, but I really enjoy going through that process actually of finding out what I'm good at and what I can bring. And that was many, many years after having to decide what to do at university, what first job to take. So it was, again, another one of those check-ins of what can I do now?
Yeah. And I'm really curious because I think conceptualizing that for in your partnership or in your family is sometimes difficult. And so do you think because it was part of your, like the ethos of your relationship already, was it hard to explain or was your partner just on board?
Um, he was totally on board with that. Yes, there was no questioning there. Neither of us has ever been like, let's do a career and be loyal to our company for the coming 25 years. It was more like, let's write new chapters and let's see what is next. And with every evolution that we have, each separately, professionally, together as a couple, it must imply a rethinking on the next sort of chapters of our lives. So no, he was very supportive and really for him, I think it was also really fun to watch,
Hmm.
to see sort of that reflection happening and just seeing the whole journey until it all unfolded and I started my new work.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And I think that maybe it's just because of where I'm from and maybe the way I grew up, that this is not a normal thing to do.
Mhm.
So I
In a
think
what way?
in what way, just like you know who you are at 18 or 21, you do that job for the rest of your life. And if not, then you're departing somehow from,
Mm,
it's not spoken, but it is not, I didn't see a lot of people doing this until I moved abroad. And then there was a
yeah.
whole bunch of women, especially around me, that were reimagining themselves and they were questioning and they were going through this transition. But they felt more alone than I would like future generations to feel in this process. Because you do
Mm.
become a new person when you have a child, both the mother and the father. But um, I just think it'd be just more of a beautiful thing if people had a language and a process around it that they expected or at least saw other people doing. So thanks for sharing that with us. And so it sounds like it's part of the DNA of your relationship is just these new chapters. Like I feel like you've almost had it written in your vows or something that you'll climb mountains, do chapters. Um, Maybe I
You
have
know
that
what? I
wrong.
wish. No, I wish, and it's always interesting because when you have this conversation where you reflect and what you tell me now, I'm like, oh yeah, actually, it is a pillar of our relationship and an important part of our lives, and because it's so normal for us, we don't question it anymore, and we don't. Yeah, we should have written this in our vows.
No, but I think that's part of long-term relationships as well, right? Like you either grow together or you grow apart, but you
Yes.
grow. And so that's, I think countries, careers, all of it is part of life. But I think if there's no resistance, it's a very interesting, or if there's no fear in that, then it's a very interesting life.
Mm.
And so I think that plays out into your story, I think. So thanks for sharing. And congratulations. I think that's a beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, so you went through this beautiful process of reimagining, assessing what you're really good at, and what came from that process.
So many things. There was let's say, the more practical part of how I wanted to work, who I wanted to work with. Meaning, I wanted to be free in my work. I didn't need to be tied to a desk. I wanted to be able to work from anywhere in the world. I wanted to be able to work around my personal life, my family life, and my health, around everything that is important to me. So that was the more practical aspect, which was really the base I would not compromise on. And then there was what I love and what I have always loved, which is travels and traveling, what I am good at, which is organizing and planning and thinking ahead of what would be a beautiful experience and sort of building this. And when you merge everything together, this became this kind of obvious. It was obvious for a lot of people and obvious for many of my friends, but I sort of discovered it that planning travels for families and designing beautiful experiences all over the world was what I had to do.
And you work specifically with families. And I'm really, really curious about that because in my experience, that's not a plus to have kids when you're traveling, when you're working with a travel planner. So tell me about that. I just want to hear I love
Yeah.
it.
So I work only with families simply because traveling with kids is just completely different. And having traveled a lot before children, we were very flexible. It was really easy. Is book a flight, book the first night, and then see what happens, and just let travel take you somewhere, let people take you somewhere. And I remember when we took our first trips with our first kid, it was just an absolute shocker to realize that we couldn't stay in the nice places we enjoyed. We couldn't do everything we wanted anymore. We also needed so much stuff, and it just became a whoa, very different,
And was
different life.
that hard for you, or was that just you rolled with it?
Yes. No, it was at first it was hard because there was part of me that was gonna sort of disappear. It's like, oh, so all of this way of traveling, this lifestyle, is it the end? Does that mean that we have to do the same every year? Does that mean that we have to stop traveling? So part of me was really sad and questioning, and then part of me was really convinced that no, there must be a way that you can continue going on adventures with smaller people. And that became really my mission. I started talking to people around me and people having children and people maybe further down the line having older children than me. And lots of them said, well, we sort of gave up on exciting holidays. We now go to sort of all inclusive hotels and we know that the kids are entertained, we can rest, and there you go. And that really made me sad and I never wanted to do that. And I was really on a mission to prove that you can continue traveling with kids. So this is also why I focus 100% on families. And I really want to help them create and continue having those experiences, whether it is with tiny toddlers or with teenagers. It's always a different phase of life and it's always a different experience. But we shouldn't stop traveling.
Right. And so it's almost like you created what you needed at the time, maybe,
Yeah.
but encouraging people. What is I know this answer for myself, but when you say people just went to an all inclusive resort so the kids could relax, they could relax, what do you see that it's a vacation? It is vacation. It is a place, but what do you see the downside of that?
The downside is you could do this anywhere in the world, it would make no difference. And you actually don't connect with where you are, with the people, with the culture. You just don't, yeah, there's just no connection. It to me, and I'm not criticizing those holidays because everyone needs a week by a swimming pool every now and then and just do nothing and really
Yeah.
relax. But to me, it's such a shame to have this absence of connection and to just come in, take the beautiful sunshine, take the beautiful landscape, and just go away without learning anything. Actually,
Yeah. And do you think that lack of connection, I mean, I think it's a mindset and I agree with you. Like sometimes you just need to go and take some sun like
yes,
and I love how you put it. You're taking sun, you're taking in, but you're not gaining the connection, like you said. And I think that is not only a mindset, but I think that it lends to these potent moments with your kids that are disconnected in some way. And so at a soul level, at least for me, even with 3 tiny toddlers, I felt this and it irritated me, but I didn't know what to do about it because it's a skill. And I learned it after a while traveling internationally by myself with three under 4, that you do, it's a totally different thing, but learning that while mothering and having life and all this stuff is just not possible. So I can see why you made it your mission, because I do think that what the time we spend with our kids, especially if we're working and the vacation is the time you connect with them, that's when they're bringing in the nutrients of experience and what it is to relax. And so in a way, it's like a diet. That's how I see it. So travel is a diet that I'm feeding them. And so I didn't know how to make it better. I just,
Yeah, and it is it's such an important connection because that's a moment where you can connect outside of the daily routine. Daily, take your shower, have dinner, brush your teeth, all of this sort of grinding
we call it
washing machine.
the conveyor belt. We call it the conveyor belt.
There you go. So you on a holiday, even though obviously you still need to feed them, they still need to wash and all of this, but a holiday is just this opportunity to shift a little bit from that role that you have back home and their role and just be more of a team and more of a there's a lot more time, everything's a bit more relaxed, so the exchange is better, the quality of the conversations maybe is better, and it just builds, it's like one extra block in this relationship that we're creating with them.
Yep. The other thing is, do you think that it allows the parents or you, as you're the traveler, to continue to grow as well instead of stagnate in this? And I don't want to say it like that, like not stagnate, but like this lack of connection really changes you, if you are only going to again take that son. But so do you see it as part of your mission to help to stimulate the parents as well?
Of course, it's a holiday. I mean, it's a holiday for everyone. I always say that it's not only a holiday for the children, it's not only a holiday for the parents. But this we all want different things out of different holidays. Sometimes you need that rest, but sometimes you want inspiration. And I always ask my clients, what do you want out of this holiday? Is it reconnecting with your children? Is it being inspired? Is it driving your creativity a little bit? Is it, maybe doing something with your hands because you spend all day long behind a laptop, so you want to have a different perspective? So a holiday or an adventure like that can serve something really big, and especially for the parents.
Yep. And that's really something that is so what you're saying is so big, but so understated. And maybe it's because, again, where I grew up or something, because we don't really vacation in the United States
Yeah.
like they do in Europe. But it's a skill I had to learn to ask those questions. And I'm still learning it, but I feel like I'm always running out of time. I'm like, oh, this is the last, my kids are getting a little bit older. And so I really love this idea that you have of giving people a framework, or at least asking them the questions.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that you would have it be a holiday for the parents as well, I think that's a tricky combination. That's why people go to these, at least why we have gone to all inclusive resorts in the past. And so how do you strike that balance?
So within a holiday, let's imagine the classic 3 weeks summer holiday, let's say. I like to create balance and create a rhythm in the holiday. So it's not going to be 3 weeks at the same place doing the same thing day in, day out. Maybe out of those 3 weeks, you'll visit, I don't know, maybe 5 different places, let's say. And some of them will be much more adventurous. Some of them will be physically more demanding. Then after that, maybe you'll organize something that is a little bit more quiet. And then you'll have that house with the swimming pool and the comfort. And then maybe you'll do something super creative. So the idea is to really create a balance through the trip. So you might stay in very comfortable places and then slightly less comfortable and maybe a bit more challenging, which also creates something beautiful with kids. So yeah, by creating that balance, you manage to sort of satisfy everyone in the holiday. Throw in a theme park if this is what the kids love, then they are overjoyed and this is the best time of their life. And then throw in the nice villa with the swimming pool and and easy, nice, easy restaurants around. And then parents are also really happy, they're rested, they're relaxed. So all in all, it should create this sort of, yeah, beautiful experience for everyone.
And that's like a really good lesson for life in general.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
no, no, it's really beautiful. So tell me how you work with families. So if a family comes to you, tell me a little bit about that process. If someone says, we have this holiday coming up, we want to work with you, Marta,
Yeah.
um, tell me.
So I first like to really get to know my families, and I want to first make sure that I'm the right person for them, make sure that the way I work is going to work with them. So I send them a nice questionnaire where I get to know them. I ask them what was a nightmare holiday you had? What was the best holiday you had? How did you used to travel before children? And I get to understand also the age of children, what they love. I also like when kids get involved in that questionnaire and maybe they say my passions are, I don't know, dinosaurs, photography, and I don't know, comics, and just try and understand what are the passions of everyone in the family. What do you love? Obviously, ask what is the holiday going to serve? What is the aim of the holiday? And then we usually have a chat. I explain how I work. So I don't work like a travel agent. I am not going to say, right, this is going to be your big budget and this is your holiday. We actually build the holiday together. So we have a nice conversation. I explain all of this. The way we build the holiday is if they haven't found a destination, then I will maybe suggest 3 to 4 destinations that would work for that family. Following this, I'll build an itinerary. Do they want to move every 3 days? Do they want to relax for a week here, a week there, and an extra week? So we build all of this together. I find all the accommodation as well. So I will make a suggestion of 5 different accommodations per stop. And that can go from a stay in a yurt to a really nice luxury hotel to a beautiful serviced villa. It really is a range of options. And my families just pick and choose what they like. We look at activities, we look at transfers, we look at all the logistics, the restaurants as well, any events, any market day. So the idea is to have really this complete holiday that is this little puzzle that is fully created together, but that also leaves them space for the unexpected and space for just simply being on a holiday. So once we go through all of this, then we start working, and usually it takes everything between 10 days to, let's say, 3 months to build a full holiday.
Okay. So I want to ask you who your ideal client would be. I mean, I'm sure you work with all kinds of people, but if you could describe to us who would love working with you and who you love working with.
So obviously they're families. Although I did have a few clients who were families in the making, so sort of the last trip before baby arrives. But I would say ideal clients would be people who are really open-minded and who want to go on an adventure and who are ready to do something maybe a little bit different. They're mostly people who are also very busy and don't have the time to do the amount of research that comes with planning a holiday. Most of my clients are currently based in Europe, but they travel really all over the world. And it goes from 1 week somewhere in the Med to 6 months around Asia. So there's a really big range, but mostly it has to be families who are, yeah, ready to go on an adventure.
Okay. And an adventure for you means learning something new, connecting in new ways, being connected to the place you're traveling.
Yes.
Is there
Yeah.
anything I'm missing?
I think that obviously you can make an adventure out of pretty much anything, but having going somewhere with an open mind and being ready to welcome what the travel is going to bring. Yeah, that's the most important because you can make an adventure pretty much anywhere.
You
Uh,
can. And with
yeah,
kids, it turns into an adventure whether you want to or not.
yeah.
Um,
Just leave your front door. It will be an adventure.
yeah. Yes. My family usually travels with 3 kids and a dog. And it's always because some hotels don't allow 3 children. So you have to get 2 rooms
Yes.
suddenly. So there's so I always say it's an adventure no matter what. But
Yeah.
you, at least for me, I don't know how other families work. It can't not be an adventure. So That's funny. So then when you plan this trip with them, so basically you need to be a little bit collaborative because as you say, you're not a travel agency.
No.
So what sets you apart is it's more of a give and take and they're booking their own holiday. So you're really helping them come up with the place, going deep on the place for them and
Yeah.
giving them options, doing recon on the place a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
So what is important is that a travel agent will recommend a list of accommodations on which they get margins. I recommend places that are really suited to that family. So if they're a family with 4 or 5 children who are teenagers, they're not going to need the same as a family with a newborn. So I just really look at what fits them 100%. And same for the activities. These are often going to be organized with locals and are going to be sort of smaller scale. It's not going to be a big tour group and it's going to be really intimate. So I help them create that vision, do all of the research, do all the logistics, finding exactly everything they need. But indeed, my families at the end do the bookings themselves. But then I don't take any margin or any commission on anything. It's very transparent.
So yours, you pay one like service fee and then you
Yeah,
kind of help them plan everything.
yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
cool. That's clear. And I think it's kind of a relief in a way that you get the freedom to kind of go where your creativity takes you and your experience traveling takes you. So it's kind of bespoke that way, where it's
Yeah,
actually completely custom, and they have input, and that their expertise can come in with their family and maybe places they've traveled. Yeah, that's really cool.
exactly.
What about grandparents? Do you ever have like multi-generational? Have you ever planned multi-generational trips?
Yes, yes. And these are a different challenge in themselves because you have to please, obviously, the younger children who need a lot of action and activity, and the middle generation who is a little bit who needs to also please everyone else, and also the grandparents and the older generation who doesn't have the same wishes as the kids. But these are really beautiful trips to plan because they it's really about finding that perfect middle ground that works with everyone, and finding the activities where the grandparents will really connect with the grandchildren, for example, maybe without the parents. And then everyone can do a little bit of something on one to one or on a smaller group. So it creates different connections, which is also really beautiful.
Yeah, and in my experience, adventurous adults have adventurous parents. At least my parents and my partner's parents are still very adventurous.
Yeah,
They don't maybe have the same need to go as fast or as far, but they definitely still want to be adventurous. They don't want to only be watching all the time or just
yeah,
watching the kids all the time. And so that is actually really important that you have experience in that because for me, that's something that is not seen or appreciated in the market. And so that's really
yeah.
cool. Even when my parents come to Amsterdam, I sometimes
Mm,
when I first moved here, I thought I wish someone could plan a trip for them so that I could enjoy my time with them because I was planning a trip for them to my city and I couldn't relax because I was
yeah.
planning them a trip. And I still would never change it. But if I could have
Mm,
called someone to say, hey, can you plan a trip for my parents
yes.
so that I
Yeah.
can have a trip with them? That's amazing. So
Mm. Yeah,
I
and
love,
there's more to the job of the grandparents when they come and visit. It's not only to give a breather to the parents or watch the grandkids. It is really to have an experience together. So it's very important not to forget that.
yeah. I mean, I think people have said to me a lot, oh, they just come to watch the kids. And I always think that's very dehumanizing to them.
Yes.
Even though I really could use a break, right? But that I love that you have that perspective and that experience and that openness for that the richness that can happen in those trips. Very cool. Well, now that's even it's even more beautiful. I love your take on it. Okay, so when we were speaking before, so I feel like people know how to they if they want an adventurous time with their kids, and want to kind of co-create a trip with your experience, they can contact you for 1 week or 6 months anywhere in the world. What about people who are not from Europe? You'd be open to any families traveling.
Yeah, I have a few clients based in the US as well. So that's not the location of my client is absolutely not a problem.
Okay, so worldwide, you're available for anyone
Yes.
that's traveling. Okay, so while we were speaking before, I wanted to touch on this briefly during our conversation. You and I spoke about something else that's another pillar of your life. And came from me asking you the question, what do you think the best place to live in the world is, or what your next place is? And you said, I think it's ideal to have two places. So I want to
Yeah.
talk about this briefly here at the end. Tell me about this, please.
Yes. So it all came from that research, that endless research for where to next or where is going to be that next place. And actually, for the past 3 years, my family and I have been testing a two-center life. It started with the wish to escape winter in Amsterdam, which is, as we know, a bit challenging and gray. It started with that idea of trying to escape between November and let's say February, go somewhere maybe a bit more sunny and a bit more relaxed. So we've been going to Costa Rica for the past 3 winters, and we have tried to find a balance in a two-center life. So my kids go to school. They're in regular school here in Amsterdam, and they go to school when they're over there. It's not a holiday. We both, my husband and I, continue working, but it's just a different experience. And we wanted to have something that would be really completely different from our life here. So it's very much a life barefoot in the jungle with the absolute bare minimum, but a much more relaxed and a different pace of life, let's say. So yeah, this has been a beautiful experience that we've had for the past 3 years, and I hope that we can continue doing this.
And you call it a two-center life. And so
Yes,
this,
we've been trying to find a way to qualify what this is because it's not a holiday and it's not a relocation, but it's also a place where we would love to set roots in the same way that we have here in Amsterdam. And we have connected with a lot of people there. We have the kids have friends that have the school. We have our circle of friends as well. So it ended up becoming, yeah, a two-center life, I think.
right? And with kids, that can become challenging, especially with school in the Netherlands and the laws, the way they work. So for those who don't know, you legally have to have your children in school. You can't take them out whenever you want without a reason, a holiday sorry, a funeral or a wedding or something. So tell me how you've managed to make that work because your kids are school aged, right?
Yes, yes. So my kids are now 5 and 7, and they're both in mandatory school age. I think what is important is to create, again, co-creation comes back, create the project also with the school. So we have always worked together with the school, with the teachers, with the school director, and then with the leerplicht, so with the town hall and the sort of responsible administration. We have created the project with them. We have explained very clearly what we wanted out of this and how we wanted to do it. And the base is that in the Netherlands, they want children to be in education, not homeschooled, but in school. So from the moment you can justify that they actually are in a school, there's no reason not to get the permission granted. It's a lot of paperwork. It's definitely not an easy one. A lot of admin, a lot of preparation as well, because kids had to continue learning Dutch and not forgetting their Dutch and learning their reading and their writing. So they had a homework whilst we were in Costa Rica, but it's definitely worth it.
So they're balancing. So at home, so in school here, they're in Dutch.
Yes,
In Costa Rica, they're in school in Spanish or in English.
both. And the school educates in both languages.
And then your home language is English, or do you guys speak a different language?
At home, we speak. So my husband is British, so we speak English, and I'm French. So I keep drilling the French. So we just have a beautiful mix of everything.
You do. So, but the languages you have to keep up for school are Dutch and Spanish
Dutch.
and English.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So that takes dedication. But if it is part of your, like you said, this is one of your values of your family. You've found a way to make it work. And like you said, it's telling the story of why you want to do it, getting all the people on board, Because I would have said before I spoke to you, this is an impossible thing to do with school-age children.
I also
But
thought, I really thought so. When I read everything about taking your children out of school here, I thought there's not even a point trying. And actually, when you deep dive into the the rules, but also if you are very open and very honest in why and how, and if you also play by the rules, which is they need to go to school and they're not going to be on holidays for 4 months.
right.
Um, and I think it also depends on their reintegration afterwards. You know, when they come back, they need to be able to slide in. They shouldn't disrupt also the classroom and what's happening. So if everything is smooth, then why not?
Yeah. And do you think, so tell me why Costa Rica? Do you mind me asking? So this is another process of figuring out where you want to have roots. Tell me your story a little bit about Costa Rica, if you don't mind.
So the first year we visited, it was really a pure attraction to the country. There's something about Costa Rica and the amount of nature there is, and we were looking for something polar opposite, but without a cultural shock, because a culture shock takes a long time to adapt to and to understand. We needed to be able to understand the rules of society. So Costa Rica ended up in the short list, and it's an easy country to travel in with children. It's very beautiful and it's very welcoming. So that's where we started our research. A second thing that was important for us is to find a school that could welcome our children. And there are not many schools in the world that welcome visiting children. So this was also a long research of basically pinpointing where they are, where are those schools, and where can we sort of set a base. So we found this place in Costa Rica, and after the first year, we absolutely fell in love. There's something, whether it's in the land or in the way of living. It's very difficult to explain, but there's just a very strong connection that we created with the country, and our children are very happy there. And they can go to school barefoot, and they learn all about the environment and the jungle and animals. And so this is very much let's say, adding on to what they have here, what they learn here. It's being completed by another layer, a different life in a different world.
Are you a Libra? You must be a Libra.
I
You
am
talk,
Gemini,
oh,
actually.
you are. You talk a lot about balance, which I really love.
Yes.
And this is
Yeah.
like that balance of them living a structured kind of European
Mm,
central life with this more on the opposite side,
yeah.
nature, barefoot, less structure. And so I think
Yeah.
that's something I crave as well. But I think creating your life that way is really, really
Mm,
beautiful that you're able to make it happen.
mm,
And so you and your husband just keep working. So it's really like you pick your family up and you move to this other
yeah.
center, pick up life there very
Yeah.
intentionally. Yeah. And so you
Yeah.
decide it,
Sorry.
no, no.
It's, it is very, at the end, when we can talk about it like that, it's very simple. We just take the bare minimum. We just set up in our house. So we rent a house when we're over there, and we live our life, not the same in the sense that the kids go to school and we work, but everything slows down 50%. And everything is, I love the word they use, intentionally. It's exactly this. There's a real intention in everything that we do and how we do it, because we can take more time and there's less of that conveyor belt that you were talking about. Everything is just more peaceful, and then we set up our roots there and we meet new people, and there are many families like us, and it's beautiful to be able to exchange also with people who are not considered as strange for doing this, but for whom it is quite normal.
Yeah. And do you find they have similar values where they're like, we need to have two places to express both.
Yeah,
Would you say you're expressing both parts of what you want for your children, or how would you describe having two centers?
it is probably being able to build that real authentic everything, because I do want my kids to be able to have this fantastic education they have here in Amsterdam and learn everything they learn. But I also want them to have the freedom to not wear shoes and to play climbing trees and to experiment and do a bit more, which I can't give them
Right.
here. There's this. It's also opening their world a little bit and leaving them the choice of seeing, this is not the only life that exists. There are many other ways of living. And one
Yep.
day when it comes to it, they can decide what sort of life they think is interesting for them.
Right. And they'll have experienced different ways of life, which makes them,
Yes.
I think, it gives them a whole bunch, and it actually gives the world a whole bunch as well to have these
Mm.
different experiences. And so, I think it's really beautiful what you're doing, and I assume more people are going to come to you asking to make that happen. Are you open to those types of clients?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm actually, because it's the third year I'm doing this, I've received quite a lot of emails of people saying, right, I need to understand how this is possible and how I can do this. So I'm now writing a full guide explaining the whole process that we go through. Because I want to be able to share it because it's not impossible. And if some families have the possibility of doing it because they work remotely or work themselves, and they want to go on that adventure, then yes, let's do it. We need more people who do that, so we're less strange.
Yep. Yep. That is lovely. Okay, so if you send me that guide, I will send it to our members. But that
Yeah.
is, beautiful. Well, you've given me such a great insights and perspective, and it's just really lovely to talk to you. Is there anything else you want to share about what you're up to?
About what I'm up to, I'm mostly so as we speaking, we are start of March, so I'm really in the summer holiday planning. So I must say this is my main focus now, and I have loads of families traveling everywhere. And there's one thing I've noticed that people want more of traveling. There's less of the sort of repetitive, and I've really noticed the really, or whether it's the people that are attracted to my services or I don't know, but there's a real desire to go on an adventure and to go and see something special. So I've really enjoyed working recently on lots of different projects like this. But for the rest now, I'm here for now and not going anywhere for a little bit as we just came back. So I'm very much enjoying being back in Amsterdam and working for my families.
Sounds great. Well, thank you so much for your time. How can people find you?
Thank you. So I have a website where I have all of my information. It's uniquetravels.co, or people can connect with me on LinkedIn, although I have a last name that is, let's say, challenging to find, but people can find me on LinkedIn and just simply connect with me here.
We'll link it below. But yes, so reach out through your website or through Instagram
Yes,
or LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Yes.
LinkedIn,
Yeah.
Instagram. Okay. Thank you so much, and pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed our show. For the latest insights on living internationally, join us at houseofperegrine.com to find out how you can connect with our community. Let's craft our life story with intention together.